Man, sometimes competition is absolutely fierce in the gaming industry, and sometimes the top franchises are at each other's throats. At other times, some games are just having fun, making light jokes about games that they're often compared to or competing with. We got a lot of wacky examples here, both sweet and spicy, from games throughout history, so let's get started off with number 10. Duty Calls was an absolutely awesome publicity stunt, if you ask me. Before the lead up to the game Bulletstorm, which, if you don't remember, that was an incredible and underrated first-person shooter that is just a single-player sci-fi adventure that is almost all humor and just kind of takes a traditional first-person shooter at the time, which was getting pretty tired, and really tosses it on its head. Well, the lead up to Bulletstorm's launch was pretty wild, with the developers saying all kinds of things, but also releasing a small, free, downloadable game called Duty Calls. This is like a 5-minute experience that just makes fun of Call of Duty. It is absolutely brutal. It's a little corny. All this really is a quick, free, downloadable experience. It just makes fun of Call of Duty first-person shooters from top to bottom. It is very cheap. It feels really rough. It felt like maybe the developers just made it in their free time for a minute, more than like a full-bore publicity stunt, because it's got a lot of charming aspects to it. It looks like crap. The voice acting is amateurish, probably done by the developers, but it's some really tongue-in-cheek humor, making fun of how generic Call of Duty campaigns are often considered to be. You know, at that time, it was just World War II and modern war first-person shooter, one after the other, be it Call of Duty or whatever else.
Hey Fox Club Niner, I'm gonna point at you and say something serious to further develop the game's storyline. Oh, I'm dead. Increasing the drama of the story.
Ha ha ha. You cannot stop me unless the game goes into slow motion for some reason, and I become easy to shoot.
And this game has generic enemies with corny accents. When you shoot at them, the bullets, the sound of the gun, it just says boring over and over again. And every single time you kill an enemy, you get like the Call of Duty like XP rank up thing on screen, but it's just goofy and over the top. And it all culminates in the end when you meet the bad guy villain, and he's a generic Russian bad guy who has a, and I quote, nuclear missile bomb. And he says he's never gonna give it up, and then the main character says, hey, give it up and put your hands up. And he says, okay. And then the player character gives a big thumbs up, and fireworks and American flags shoot out, and that's it. It's really funny. It's totally crappy. The actual Bulletstorm game is so much better as an actual video game, but this was really fun and refreshing at the time because we were in deep with those drab, generic military first-person shooters. So to have Duty Calls, it really felt like a nice little breath of fresh air. Next, over at number 9, we have Duke Nukem. Really like the legacy of Duke Nukem, making fun of, well, everything. So where to start? I would say the best thing is probably Duke Nukem 3D making fun of Doom. In Duke Nukem 3D, there's like a hidden area you can find. It's near an altar. You have to break some stained glass, and there's a monster, but walk through this hidden corridor kind of to the end, and you'll find a dead Doom guy. Like, he's just there, choking out, dying, and he's surrounded by bugs or rats. And of course, Duke Nukem here has a classic Duke quip. I'm not gonna try and do his voice, just roll it.
That's one doomed space marine.
And not just content with making fun of Doom, in the desert level, if you enable cheats and fly over part of the level, you can find a secret little area where Duke finds a dead Serious Sam. Like, it's definitely him. He's got the t-shirt, the sunglasses, the whole 9 yards, his big gun, but of course, Duke has another little quip.
Why so serious, Sam?
Then in Duke Nukem Forever, as bad as that game may be, it had a couple of decent jokes, and there's a whole part where they make fun of Halo. Basically, your allies have equipment for you, they say, hey, here's your power armor, and it is very clearly the Master Chief's suit, and Duke Nukem says this.
Power armor is for pussies.
Well, okay, you want a gun instead?
Because, of course, Duke Nukem, if anything, is not consistent throughout the years. You gotta love him for that, right? Next, over at number 8, I don't know if you guys know this about me, but Splinter Cell Chaos Theory is one of the greatest games ever made, in my opinion. I love it, and what's even cooler is that it has a very small reference to one of my other favorite video game series of all time, Metal Gear Solid. In the old Splinter Cell games, including Chaos Theory, you could sneak up behind guards, grab them, and certain specific ones you can interrogate. And then usually you'd get a couple of clever lines of dialogue between Sam Fisher, aka Michael Ironside, and a generic henchman, and there's always some good tongue-in-cheek stuff there, some of it useful, some of it throwaway. But in one level, an enemy's using a certain different type of equipment, and Sam asks specifically if the bad guy has any of that ammunition on him, and the bad guy says,
Oh, it's not like you can shake me and make my ammo fall on the floor to pick up.
and that, of course, is a complete reference to Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 3, where in the first-person system, you can aim your gun at a guard that you sneak up on and hold them up, like make them put their hands up and surrender. And there's like a whole thing, if you aim at them and point a certain way, they'll shake and shimmy and items will fall out of them. Kind of like you're shaking them down like a high school bully for like lunch money or something. I don't know. So to have Chaos Theory give a very, very small nod or reference like that is kind of cool. And also, it's kind of making fun of the fact that like that doesn't even make sense in Metal Gear. Obviously, Splinter Cell tried to go the more realistic route, so there's that. Either way, all great games. We love stealth games. Bring back more games like this. Next, over at number 7, Mario is in Shenmue. Kind of. Not really. So you can walk up to a chef who has a chef hat and a mustache, and his name is Mario. And you as a main character can ask him, hey Mario, can you tell me something? Teach me some Italian? And you can continue to spam this over and over again, and Mario will throw out little tiny lines to you, just kind of like, hey, this is how you say this in Italian. This is how you say this in Italian.
Mario, would you teach me some Italian?
Oh, of course. Buono means good.
Okay, thanks.
And basically, Mario, the legendary video game hero, is reduced to like a goofy Shenmue NPC. And we've talked about goofy Shenmue NPCs a lot on this channel. Some of it is the voice acting, some of it is the translation, but here, Mario actually, some of the YouTube comments, like when you look up a version of this video online, a lot of people suggest that this Mario actually sounds more like Wario, which is excellent. That's an even bigger insult if you ask us, man. But hey, next over at number 6, let's talk about Mad Max, another underrated awesome game that we've been trying to sing the praises for years. It released when there were a bunch of other open world games, but this one was really cool. You're Max, you drive around in your car, you do Mad Max stuff, you level up, you upgrade your Max, you upgrade your car. It's so satisfying. And the game world is a lonely, desolate one, but there's little hidden secrets here and there, and one of them is a Half-Life reference. Yes, Mad Max actually pokes fun at the fact that Valve will never release Half-Life 3. Players have found a kind of secret little channel or cave you can squeeze through that leads to a small empty cavern with a pile of crates, and one of the crates has a big number 3 on it, and there's a dead body next to it. But that dead body is significant because it has glasses and it has kind of like an orange and black type thing going on its corpse, very much reminiscent of Gordon Freeman and his armor. But the corpse is unfortunately rotting and missing an arm, and that arm is actually attached to a crowbar that is stuck on the crate. So this Gordon Freeman, at the end of the world, years later, died just trying to get Half-Life 3 out there. He died trying, or like it took forever, it's never gonna happen. I don't know, it's pretty apt if you ask me. Will we ever see Half-Life 3? I don't know, we could talk about that in a whole other video, but at the very least, we got a little tiny bit of Half-Life 3 in a Mad Max game. Next over at number 5, Serious Sam didn't like lie down and take all the Duke Nukem jokes, of course. They had to have their own spin on it, and Duke Nukem is actually in Serious Sam 2. Yeah, you can find him, and it's his corpse, like stuck up on a tree. He's hanging. It's clearly him, the yellow hair, the glasses, but he's like a rotting corpse. And also, he's got like a little like nuke bomb shoved up his butt, which is pretty funny. That's just perfect. That feels very Duke Nukem in a weird way. And Sam actually verbalizes and makes a reference to this dude who's been hanging here forever.
Secret Duke skeleton has been found.
Dude, you've been hanging here like forever.
A complete reference, I guess, to Duke Nukem Forever, which notoriously had a long and fraught development cycle. It took years and years and years to come out, and this is a pretty good comeback, I'll admit. Next over at number 4, a lot of people forget this in video game history, but Dying Light actually made fun of Destiny and Bungie. Back in the day, in like 2015, Bungie had a big promo thing with Destiny with Red Bull, of all things. And in typical gamer energy drink marketing fashion, you could actually get special exclusive DLC when you buy certain cans of Red Bull. And a lot of people were not happy with that, including, I guess, Techland, the developers of Dying Light, who ended up coming up with their own little spin on that thing on social media a couple of days later. It's absolutely brilliant. So they came up with DLC, that it's free DLC, it's a download for like this special weapon pack, and all you had to do was take a picture of you, like you had to show you drinking water, like a cup of water, bottle of water, and then you had to upload it to social media with the hashtag #DrinkRightDyingLight. They had a promo image and everything. It was Dying Light, level up your game with the real king of hydration, featuring a glass of water. Ever wondered to stop how extremely awesome water is? Available now, and the instructions of posting a photo of yourself drinking water to unlock an epic new docket. Personally, I think this is pretty brilliant and really showed how good Techland is at this stuff, and especially at the time with the original Dying Light, they were really killing it. Obviously, it's scoring point off of another brand, another corporation's misstep to promote your own, but this one was funny. And also, if you ask me, kind of positive, because some people don't drink enough water. You gotta hydrate yourself. You gotta take care of yourself. And for a video game publisher and developer to care enough to get you to drink some water, I think that's a win. Now over at number 3, oh man, the long legacy of Driver versus Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto, open world crime game. Driver, first a driving game, and then eventually also an open world crime game. If you were around at the time, these things were absolutely notorious. So in a mission, Vice City had this character, Dick Tanner, who dies very quickly. And Tanner, of course, is the main character from the original Driver games. And then, very famously, Driver 3, or as we like to call it, Driv 3R, because that's how they wrote it, dude. Driv 3R tried to punch back pathetically at Grand Theft Auto Vice City. And we say that because Driver 3 was rough. I mean, as a kid, I forced myself to like it, but it was an absolute broken, weird mess with bad third-person shooting. But in the game, you could actually find Timmy Vermicelli's and kill him. Yes, Timmy Vermicelli is a spin on Tommy Vercetti. Feels kind of rude to Italian Americans, if you ask me, knowing from experience, but it was goofy, it was silly, but it was one of the highlights. It was one of the only memorable things in Driver 3, if you ask us. And then after that, there was like a very small San Andreas reference where Mad Dog's playing video games and he's yelling at the screen saying like, "Hey Tanner, you suck."
This sucks. I mean, how can refractors mess up so bad? Tanner, you suck ass.
That's really where it all kind of came to a head, I guess, at that point. It had probably gotten so far where the Driver games weren't even worth making fun of anymore for the big dogs at Rockstar. But it is kind of funny because, like, no offense to Driver fans, but Tanner kind of sucked. And I say that as a Driver fan. I've been playing since the frustrating original one. But yeah, I think Tanner really deserved to get made fun of. Also, it doesn't matter because with Grand Theft Auto, nobody's safe. Those games notoriously made fun of everybody. But hey, I guess only one of those brands is laughing now. Now, down over at number 2, Payday 2 had a achievement that made fun of Call of Duty, but a very specific angle of Call of Duty. You had to really kind of be clued into the video game news world for this one, but before Call of Duty Ghosts was released, there were some developer videos just breaking down the game and how advanced it would be, and the graphics and technology and physics, and the developers highlighted how realistic the fish were in the game. During missions where you'd go underwater and you'd swim, the fish would behave realistically, which was total BS because number one, I don't think anyone really cares to that level, but also fish have been moving around and swimming in water in video games for years at that point. But it kind of blew up as a joke on gaming social media in circles, and yeah, so Payday 2 straight up has an achievement in the game that is called Fish AI, or Fish Artificial Intelligence. With the description, on day 2 of the Watchdog's job, throw a loot bag into the sea, hoping fish move away as it gets near. That's what you had to do to earn that achievement, and it's literally straight up making fun of Call of Duty Ghosts. I know some people will still kind of back up Call of Duty Ghosts and say that that one kind of got unfair hate, but say what you want about the game, the whole fish thing was really funny, and I like that Payday 2 made fun of it. Really, it was something, you had to be there. You had to be in the gaming news sphere at the time. It was like 10, 11 years ago, I don't even know, but it was pretty funny to see. Now down to number 1, we have South Park. South Park had a mobile game called Phone Destroyer.
Phone Destroyer!
And they made fun of a lot of things really, but they also most notably made fun of themselves, specifically with the fact that this is a mobile game. The classic South Park intro that has like a screen that says like, hey, not intended for children, like the whole blah blah blah, like content warning thing. In the game, it's the same type of font, like the white text over a black screen, but it says, and I quote, "This game contains both in-app purchases and the option to watch ads for rewards. To disable the ability to make in-app purchases, adjust your device setting. In-app purchases cost real money and are charged to your account, and for those reasons, this game should not be played by anyone." Which is absolutely correct, yes. Now, the big question is like, just because they make fun of it, they're still doing it, so does making fun of it kind of wipe away everything? Like, people probably still spent money in the game anyway, right? Like, somebody got hooked and bought something, even after laughing at that start screen. I don't know if it makes it right, I don't know if it makes it okay, but from us here, it certainly got like a belly laugh out of us when we first saw this a couple of years ago. But those are some really good times where games actually tried to humiliate other video games. There are plenty of other examples out there, so if you can think of a good one, please let us know. We'd love to hear in the comments because chances are we can easily make a part 2 with more examples. And if you like what we're doing here, we're just hanging out, talking video games every single day with you guys. Clicking the like button helps us. That's all you gotta do. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.